You should be able to imagine what it is that you want to do. If you cannot see where you want to go, you cannot get there.
First, we have to recognize that what Professor Addo has done is phenomenal. It's very, very new, it's very creative. Why? Because when you see the module that he's got, it does two things. First, it recognizes current problems we have in our nation. And at the same time, provides a solution to it.
So that the people or the nation can develop in a very holistic way.
Una persona que tenga visión es aquella que está más allá del tiempo, ¿no?, en que vive y que sabe para dónde va.
If nations have to develop, you have to have a physical evidence of where you're going to go.
Show the people what we are talking about, because seeing is believing.
Look at what's going on in Africa. Everybody promises the moon, right? But nobody can see concretely what is the moon.
It's often said that there is no way you can achieve anything without a plan.
Professor Kwame Addo, as I know him, is an infrastructural consultant with a huge global image.
Al profesor Kwame Addo lo conozco desde Venezuela hace muchos años. Él estuvo compartiendo con nosotros en el diseño de un pénsul de estudio en una escuela agroecoturística que se realizó en un estado cercano a la capital de Venezuela.
He has a passion for commitment itself.
In the 90s, he advised the Ghana government on the preparation of the Non-Aligned Movements Conference. He also served as the lead advisor to the beautification of the city of Accra at the time. Over the past few years, he's served as a consultant to the Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Works and Housing, Water Resources, and lately the Ministry of Tourism.
Professor Kwame Addo is simply an enigma. He is everything I've said before, but his creativity has so many expressions, it's unbelievable in one person. He does exquisite music. He has music that has been sold across globe. He is an architect. He's built skyscrapers. He's designed currency notes in South America. He has done exquisite paintings that hang in museums. I could go on and on, but he lives his art. He is his art. He is one person I look at, and all I can conclude is that you cannot have lived if you have not lived the way he has and continues to do, just giving expression to your creativity.
I am a Ghanaian, born in Tamale in 1958, to a surgeon, medical doctor, and a Caribbean mother, raised in Salaga, and started my first schooling at Ekropong demonstration up in the eastern region. Then continued on to Achimota Primary, and further to Infantsipim in Cape Coast. I further pursued studies at UST, the College of Art in Graphic Design, and continued on to the US to study architecture in Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, Rhode Island.
El profesor Kwame Addo nos sugirió en aquella oportunidad, en el diseño del pensu, que había la necesidad de crear algunas áreas bien específicas del pensu, pero que se adaptara a la realidad del entorno.
Kwame is committed to his art, is committed to his design, is committed to his creativity, is committed to his expression. And today, as we speak, he is actually larger than life. When you begin to look at what he's doing of his own volition towards development planning.
My area is innovation, and one of the areas that I focus on is helping governments innovate in terms of national policies and all that. And fortunately, I got a chance to meet him, and I went to his home, and he showed me that model. And all of a sudden, I think we had a straight meeting of minds. Because if nations have to develop, you have to have a physical evidence of where you're going to go to show people that evidence so that you can get people on board.
An architectural model is very important for decoding a dream, an idea, or vision. It helps us immediately understand scale, and it gives us also the broad framework of the spatial distribution of whatever we are trying to show. Models help us to quickly understand the surrounding areas which are going to be developed, but at the same time, it makes us quickly understand the relationships between all the different sectorial plans or elements which occur in a plan, such as the road networks, housing, commercial areas, recreational facilities, etc., giving all the sectors a very important role to play from day one. The model sums up all the different factors, and then we can understand both volume and two-dimensional forms at once. The area, for example, in the Sodom and Gomorrah zone, which has been for a long time been left fallow, now can be looked upon in a holistic way. This holistic manner tells us that we can now see why a waterway which runs as the lifeline or bloodline to a city can start to define and shape the city's life. It helps us also to communicate between the people involved in developing it, that is the technical staff, and also the clients who would eventually be using these spaces. Architectural model actually keeps alive the dream and hope, and it shows us, and it is living evidence of the physical formation of what can happen. In the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, it gives us an opportunity to understand where housing projects such as urban renewal projects can happen, showing us the relationship between the road networks, bus routes, and also recreational facilities. The issue of hope and making us be inspired comes through very strongly when architectural models are used. The missing element in the whole agenda for national development has been comprehensive planning, long-term comprehensive planning. And it is therefore very important that the medium-term approaches also have a direct contact or connect with long-term policy frameworks.
Now, before you can plan any development, because development is a progression, you should have creativity and you should have imagination.
Immediately, we can start to look at the crucial issues such as land use, which actually is the starting point for all the different sectors, such as agric, industry, the services, infrastructure, social sectors, and of course, urban and rural projects. They all start off with their land in place. We will certainly, first and foremost, need the political will, which provides the enforcement. Then comes the visionary, who clearly gives the projection of whatever the plan is going to offer. With the right technical approaches, we can also have the appropriate expertise. Then we have the logistics, which would provide the financial formulas, both material and also human. And last but not the least, sensitization, which would give you the hope to actually bring the people along as developmental partners.
How do we market this vision, this future, across the country so that people will start to know that this is what we want as a nation?
Yes, it's true, sensitization is critical, and you can do sensitization in various ways, through the media, through films, through visual products or programs. And depending on the level of education or enlightenment of the people, one can decide or determine which way to do it. But how to do it differently is to ensure that the people are carried along. They are a part of the decision-making process and a part of the plan development and implementation process. So that is how differently we should go to ensure that everybody is brought on board.
So that, to me, is a process by which you can enhance people's understanding and demand forcefully government to take action, because they know this is the best future that we can get. So why can't we do it? So it shapes the aspirations, it becomes a social contract between them. It also provides very strong discipline. Now, discipline in terms of government and discipline in terms of people.
It is clear that we have been going down a path, and with all the opportunities which have been presented, we have clearly seen the pattern of events. It is therefore important for us to take a more integrated approach, comprehensive look at what we are doing. It is very vital that the interactive approach is going to bring on board all the different stakeholders, so that when a plan is being implemented from the beginning, it can be understood.
Ghana is about 53, 55 years old since independence. Now, if you look at some of the infrastructure projects that were existing 25 years ago, 30 years ago, a lot of them are dilapidated. A lot of them are not functioning. Take your railway line, it's not functioning. So it is time for us to look inward to see what mistakes we have committed, what haven't we done, and try to see a new future and what we can do in order to deliver on that future. Now, if we don't do that, how can we develop?
Es una propuesta, es nueva, es innovadora, que fortalece el desarrollo de la comunidad en general y que respeta la naturaleza.
It is true, the mindset lies at the heart of the whole developmental process. And that has actually been the key to the pace in which we have developed as a people. Understanding the mindsets is actually the issue. And that would mean going deeper into the cultural aspects, our educational institutions, chieftaincy, women and children, and a whole host of social programs which actually bring out the issue of the mindset. It is there that the final frontier for us to come together and make sure that whatever we plan comes through in a very powerful way. The mindset can only be approached when we also are able to show the people what we are talking about, because seeing is believing.
Plan developed by Professor Kwame Addo is a very good one, very timely and wholly Ghanaian, because as a Ghanaian, he knows or he appreciates what is good for Ghana, of course in collaboration with the government policy and development agenda. Having said that, let me emphasize that this plan is a multi-sectoral one. Talks about roads, transport, spatial development, environment, energy, and of course includes tourism. And tourism, as you know, is a multi-sectoral or dimensional industry. So we are hoping that with this interrelated plan in place, sector ministers will get to understand what each of them or each of us should be doing so as to impact positively on tourism, because tourism thrives greatly on good infrastructure and good services. So if we have good roads in place, we have good energy in terms of lighting, we have a good transportation system, tourists, both domestic and international, who come to Ghana will be happy, and so will go out and promote the tourism industry further.
I've been working over the years on a comprehensive concept planning platform to see how we can streamline all our developmental efforts for the benefit and welfare of our people. This idea is trying to illustrate Ghana's broad spatial development process to be able to begin to harness and synchronize socioeconomic development with the mindset and, of course, with all our infrastructure programs, projecting a clear vision to the private sector and the public sector over the long term.
Other countries around the world, they look at their previous situations, their current situations, and I'm mentioning China. They were worse off. But because they have a vision for a future. You go to Shanghai today, you can see how a plan has been laid out for the next 50 years. Now, to me, that provides an inward expression of people's aspirations. And that is the way you develop a nation. Because through that, you get people's commitment. You got people's creativity to come to bear on what you want to do.
Bien, con él hubo la posibilidad de que realizara un proyecto que se llamaba Parque de las Américas. En aquella oportunidad no cuajó la cuestión, puesto que era a cambio de Ministerio de Turismo, que era el ente que estaba escrito ahí, que se diera la posibilidad de desarrollo de esa propuesta del Parque de las Américas, que recogía obra bien importante del continente americano, como las pirámides de México, como el lago de Titicaca, como el Salto Ángel y el Pico Bolívar, por decir algunas cosas.
To have vision is to be able to anticipate what is ahead. To have a vision means you have to plan. You need to be able to understand that whatever it is that you must embark on, you must be able to first visualize it. You should see it in your mind's eye. You should have a certain projection. You should be able to imagine what it is that you want to do.
This project tries to move away from the written and spoken vision to the vision that is visible to all. It is therefore a fundamental component of this project, which intends to show how this vision looks like for everyone to appreciate it in its right light. It comes in 3 different formats. Of course, a vision has to be decoded, and from that decoding comes up a 2-dimensional map, which is taking the form of a blueprint or a roadmap to projects and programs which a nation can develop in an orderly manner towards the long term. This is all represented in a map which clearly now would locate all our natural resources and all the sectorial master plans, making sense of everybody's work, but at the same time inspiring the nation and showing a brighter future. The second component is a documentary or a DVD or a PowerPoint presentation, which actually brings everybody on board, explaining all the different facets of how a vision is developed and how everybody can have a role to play in it, so that we can all see it and feel it.
And today, as we speak, he is actually larger than life. When you begin to look at what he's doing of his own volition towards development planning, you need to see the awesome things that this gentleman has done and continues to do.
So far, I think that Professor Kwame and the ministry have worked very well. He has inputted into the National Tourism Development Plan, Master Plan that was recently reviewed. In fact, we are compiling the final report. He has also advised on how to enhance the development of our potentials in the various zones of Ghana, looking at the master plan that he has put up. And so for us, his contribution to the industry now is very helpful, and we look forward to working with him further in future.
This is the Ghana Roadmap series of Visions of Ghana, and it illustrates the overall strategic planning framework to guide development and capital infrastructure investment, but at the same time projecting a clear spatial landscape to the public and private sector over the long term. A key visual which everybody should be able to see and understand and point to as a point of reference. The idea of such a project is just to literally decode a dream so that everybody can see what we have been talking about all along. This map just tells us where all our natural resources and all our sectorial master plans are, giving us the opportunity to analyze, guide, and control the orderly development of our nation.
Profesor Kwame Addo, que si se implementara como modelo, pudiera ser un modelo que se implementara en toda África, pero que habría que buscar la necesidad de buscar apoyo, ¿no?, con regiones como en este caso Mercosur, UNASUR o el bloque de los países chinos o de Asia, con la finalidad de llevar a cabo y ejecutar esa propuesta.
Imagination has been one of the key components that has been absent from our developmental processes. And as it is said by Albert Einstein, imagination is more important than knowledge. With all the information we have, which is solidly embedded in all our aspects of development, we now tend to see how we can harmonize imagination through creative approaches to enhance our developmental process.
It also provides two other things which I think is very critical in nation building. One is transparency. If it becomes a social contract, if people know that this is what we want, and politicians promise this, then people will hold them accountable to deliver on that promise. Now, but if you don't have a vision, and if you don't have that future, nobody can hold you accountable for anything. So I think African countries should always try to do something like this. It is beneficial to Ghana, and I'm sure it's beneficial to Africa if we decide to follow that route.
The Visions of Ghana concept is supposed to look inward to understand and bring on board all the stakeholders and people of the land, the custodians of the land. It clearly starts to bring Africa into a better light in its totality when it presents a common front in terms of its developmental plan. A long-term is extended and to all the other countries, and also eventually Africa having one plan. And then it can then compete far more effectively on the global stage. That would mean that with this, through this plan, the natural resources would not only be dwindled or taken away, but would then be harnessed to bring the needed jobs, factories, and technological know-how so that the country and the continent as a whole can see itself shining once again.
Visions of Ghana, she's like no other. Speak out for Ghana, for good words renew her. Of the best, from the north to south.